Yo, people, welcome back to On Track GP. Breaking, well, I don't even know if it's breaking news because we knew about this, but it's just it actually happening, bro. Coiling in the building, brother. How are you doing today? These visuals are blinding my eyes. I may
Yeah,
be permanently blind after what I've just witnessed that you just sent me today. How are you feeling after seeing that? Toro Rosso and AlphaTauri and these lovely names have now become something completely different. Visa, Cash App, RB. What?
yeah, it's quite a handful to say all at once. I've yet to say it without breaking a sentence, but yeah, like you said, it's something we already kind of knew. Obviously, it leaked on
Yeah,
Instagram not too long ago, a couple of days ago. The team quickly realised they did something wrong and took the page down before anybody they thought noticed. Well, everybody noticed, but yeah,
yeah.
Visa, Cash App, RB is going to be the name of the team for 2024 onwards. A very distinct blue colour, kind of reminds me of the old Toro Rosso cars from the late 2010s. So who knows?
Yeah.
Another team to look out for, I suppose.
Yeah, the logo is striking. The branding is heavy. The marketing is heavy, of course. Listen, I'm sure they're putting in a lot of money into that partnership and that that deal for which is going to be very lucrative for the overall Red Bull group and brand. But it adds on to having stake, which was announced as well, and then I mean, almost all of the teams are heavily marketed in their name. If you're talking about Mercedes, that's just kind of something that's just naturally, we've just taken in. But it's all branded Mercedes. But for me, this is just the name here is just very, very distinct. It's very overpowering and overwhelming. Like I don't know. Is it okay? Is it something that we should just let fly? Is Formula One changing?
Uh, well, it's completely different, and it's like everything else. It's just about becoming normal to the name. Like Stake now, Stake F1 team is kind of already hit normality. People's forgotten about it, and like you said, yeah, it's a common team in Formula One. You have Mercedes AMG Petronas,
Yeah,
Aston Martin Aramco, even Red Bull Oracle Racing or Red Bull Racing Oracle, whatever they're called. You
yeah.
kind of forget that these names are heavily in the title sponsorship, but as long as we are able to learn to say the name properly, I think we'll get used to it in no time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm now very intrigued to see what is the livery confirmed yet as to what this car's going to look like? Because I expect it to be the branding, of course. If it's in the logo like this, it's going to be extremely striking on that car. It's going to be everywhere, I assume. What do you expect this car to look like now?
Yeah, I'd imagine the card will look very different. Obviously, there's going to be a launch in Las Vegas. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. Sometime in February, we'll get the first look at the car. It's meant to be a very big
Mm,
launch. They're going all out for it, and yeah, it's going to be completely different. And the thing about the team, their cars do look pretty cool, like the old Toro Rossos with the bull on the back, and then you had AlphaTauri with the kind of really wild change in kind of navy blue and white color scheme when they came out with it in 2020. So yeah, I'd expect something pretty cool from them. I'd be a little bit disappointed if nothing striking or mad comes out of it. But yeah,
yeah.
let's see. I think it'll be a pretty cool launch.
Yeah, it's not their first time in F1 as well. Visa, massive, massive, obviously, company, financial. For me, when I look at this, it just the whole rebranding of the Instagram just took me by shock. I must say, the dark blue, like you said, it's a different dark blue to what Toro Rosso was, but it's not too dissimilar. It feels like almost with also the Red Bull. It's just RB, so it feels like they're almost moving away from, and they have been under some criticism that they're too closely aligned with the senior team at Red Bull. So is this? Do you think this is a move to try and kind of push themselves into? Of course, we know the link is still there, but kind of differentiate the teams out a bit more, because when it was Toro Rosso and Red Bull, the senior team, it was almost like the same livery, same car, same. In terms, it was just you couldn't separate the two really, and the drivers, of course, were cross pollinating like crazy, Kvyat and Verstappen and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the kind of just signifying the RB in the name is kind of just a little reminder to say we're still Red Bull, but we're not really. But the thing is, like you said, back in the day when the cars were running under the V8 regulations, um, there was no secret that Toro Rosso was essentially using Euro Red Bull cars. And it was a big shock for Red Bull when Toro Rosso actually bet them with Vettel's win in 2008 in a Euro car. But a lot of it is, I think, the commercial side of things are just trying to show that there's still a little bit of a partnership there, but maybe suggesting that we're not as heavy-handed as we used to be. But the main concern coming into the new season for that team is, of course, that there's been an awful lot of talk about that alliance between Red Bull and Visa Cash App RB kind of strengthening this year. You know, a lot of rumors about shared parts and this and that. You know, you have Zach Brown very concerned about it and about what it'll do for Formula One if you have teams, you know, being so close together. But then the other side, you have the likes of James Allison from Mercedes is saying, you know, the rules are pretty clear cut. If they want to be a partnership, it can only be commercial, so they're not too worried. So I think in that prospect, I think it'll be very, very interesting to keep an eye on them this year. And I wouldn't be at all surprised. Like I said, it's happened in the past. You just share gearboxes, you know, rear ends of cars, everything, even their own Euro cars. I think it could be a thing this year that whatever you see on the RB20, you might see start appearing on the new car, or maybe a you know, an RB19 back in action, let's say.
Yeah, I remember when Williams were at their peak in recent times with Bottas and I think Felipe Massa, was it? And they were right alongside Mercedes. You know, they were getting podiums, and obviously they shared a lot of similarities in the way that, you know, they were both using Mercedes engines, but they were right up there alongside Hamilton and Rosberg, and it was, you know, they were really taking a lot of podiums. Obviously, Bottas went on to go and join Mercedes from that stint. Some of the CEO's comments, you know, speaking about fantastic new identity, you know, welcoming the new partnership, but also talking about the ambition for a bold vision, to kind of, you know, re-identify themselves. Do you see this team ever not only getting closer to Red Bull in terms of taking podium positions, but also would they ever be allowed to eclipse them and go ahead of them, if that was even possible?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, Red Bull as a senior team, you know, of course, it's in their interest to make sure that any team they're associated with will be doing good. You know, I'd put my hand up and say I wouldn't be surprised if AlphaTauri, so I'm not even used to it yet.
Yep.
Visa Cash App RB would be in the top 4 this year, or top 5, considering the rumors that we've been hearing about, you know, added partnerships or whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of the team actually outdoing them, you know, that only happened in 2008 because Vettel took a very shock win at Monza, and the Red Bull team themselves were, for all intents and purposes, useless that year. They were outscored by the sister team. But generally, I don't think it'll happen because, you know, Red Bull are very clever. They're going to help the team, but they're not going to help the team to the point where they're going to be able to jump them. So, you know, I think Red Bull's objective here is to have the second team more kind of a sister team, as they call it now, instead of a junior team, and kind of have them up there fighting top 4, top 5, kind of giving it to Aston Martin, Alpine, and kind of making sure any progress that the midfield runners could make closer to the front of the pack can be kind of held back a little bit by them.
It's almost like a buffer, isn't it? It's like having a buffer to try and, like you said, stop them from making too much progress to threaten the main team, which is obviously Red Bull. Are you a fan of sister teams and that dynamic, or because I guess maybe the part of me just feels like it stops. You just said they can never step them. They can never surpass them. It would be nice if every team on the grid was completely individualistic and just had the same dream of, we can win a world championship, we can win a world title, and there was no ties, there was no allegiances, there was no agendas, behind all of that. Or do you don't mind maybe the sister team kind of side of it? And obviously it does help promote the drivers in terms of, we see Verstappen, we saw Kvyat get an opportunity, Albon, so many drivers have come through this model, and very talented drivers at that as well, and have made it obviously to then be at the front of the grid and competing for race wins.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, like you said, Toro Rosso many years ago, when they were kind of the junior team of Red Bull, like you said, Verstappen, Vettel, Ricciardo, Kvyat, everybody that's driven for Red Bull outside of Sergio Perez in the last 15 years have come out of that Toro Rosso team. And it's really good in the way that, it mightn't be the best performing car in the world, but it's kind of like a team or a car where, you know, if the driver's performing it, you know, it's a good job, you know. And we've seen Vettel, we've seen Verstappen, we've seen Ricciardo. When you see performances like that, that's, you know, and that's what, in the end, that's what gets them the Red Bull drive. So I've never had a problem with it. I've never had a problem, you know, other teams do it as well. Obviously, Haas and Ferrari, you know, and then, like, you know, you think of Charles Leclerc, the way he came into Formula One as a Ferrari driver was through Sauber, due to the links there with Ferrari. And of course, there's Mercedes sharing parts with Williams and whoever up and down the grid. So it's a common thing. I just think it needs to be made sure that it doesn't get too much out of hand. You know, I understand Zach Brown's comments. You know, McLaren's worked very hard to get where they are. just through sheer grit and determination and hard work, and to have a sister team like Red Bull come in and like usurp their work just because they're sharing parts isn't right. To a degree, yeah, definitely. You know, it helps teams, it helps drivers. You know, bring young drivers into the sport and show their potential. But as long as it just doesn't get too out of hand.
There's limits to this, isn't there? Before it
Yeah,
becomes,
exactly.
yeah, for sure. Well, we'll finalize on this last quote from Chief Marketing Officer Advisor. He says, "This is a groundbreaking partnership and a great opportunity for Visor brand to engage one of the most, one of the fastest growing sports communities on the planet. This alliance resonates strongly with the Visor vision to inspire individuals to make it, striving to take small steps for improvement each day during each race or event." I mean, it's like I said, it's not their first time in the sport sponsoring, so it's not like they're new to this. When was the last year that they were in the sport? 'Cause I remember them. I remember we did quizzes. I'm pretty sure they were involved in some sort of backstory or historical sponsorship
Yeah,
back in the 90s or something.
I'm not entirely sure about Visa. I think the one you're thinking about is Mastercard when they sponsored
Maybe.
Lola in the late 90s. They pushed to get the
Mm.
car ready a year early and got to Melbourne, and they were 10 seconds off the pace of everyone else.
I don't think they
So
sponsored
hopefully
the
that's
car,
a
but they
start.
definitely they didn't sponsor a car, but they might have been sponsoring maybe the track, or they were sponsoring some of the, I
It
don't
could
know,
have
some
been,
of,
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were involved in Formula One in some capacity, but I think this maybe is the first time they sponsored a car. But that's it, guys. That's the news. That's done and dusted. AlphaTauri is dead and buried, and now we have a very long-winded way of saying that name, RB. I'm just going to probably call him RB, to be honest.
Keeping
But
vibes on the weekend according to them.
yeah, literally. But yeah, guys, that's been your video. Make sure you smash up the likes, make sure you subscribe, bring you the latest news, and yeah, get used to it. This is it. And hope maybe there'll be more name changes. Any more name changes coming up before we wrap up? Is that the last of it?
Uh, not that I'm aware. I think that was the last major name change. I don't know if
Okay,
there's any title sponsors coming in or that, but I think that's it for now.
there you
So
go. Thankfully, because I need to feel some sort of familiarity with the grid. Yeah, but until next time, guys. See you in a bit, people. Peace.